In today's video, I'll be building a custom village that includes a tavern, a blacksmith, a hotel, and more. Now, if you're excited to see how the village turns out, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Another reason to subscribe is that I'm planting 1 potato for every new subscriber I gain. So currently, I have 266 subscribers, which is 21 more than I had previously in the last episode. So we're gonna plant 21 potatoes. All right, and there we have it. 21 new potatoes for my 21 new subscribers. And if you want me to plant a potato for you, make sure to subscribe. Anyways, let's get on to the building now. So I was thinking about where I should start building in the village, and I came up with a pretty good idea. I want to build a blacksmith right here next to the miner and the quarry because he's going to need to get the ores from somewhere. So we want to make sure he's close to the quarry. And I think this would be a nice spot to kind of fill in the pathway. So I'm kind of envisioning that this pathway comes along here, kind of diagonally, and we'll have the blacksmith just kind of buried back here. And then, yeah, we'll continue from there. So I'm going to build the blacksmith real quick, and I'll show it to you guys when I'm done. All right, so I finished the blacksmith's house, and let's get a tour. So you may see that I went a little crazy on the detail. I added 3 new trees to this area. I completely decked out this build, and I even did a ton of terraining and terraforming. You can see we have lighting under here with moss carpet, and then I blended some moss into all the grass areas. So this area is looking pretty awesome, and it's all lit up without torches. But yeah, let's get a tour of the blacksmith. So there's no interior for this build, but I think it still looks really good, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Now, if we first come up here, we have a nice little tree area with a tiny garden in front. And this is the blacksmith's workshop area. So this is the forgery, and you can see the smokestack goes all the way up. And so we have a sword on here. This is where he heats it up, and then he'll place it on the anvil and kind of hammer it out and make it look good. And yeah, we also have the cooling area to cool off the heated metal. And I really like how this turned out. It's a nice little kind of cozy-ish or confined, you know, and I think it looks really good. And I like these tool racks with the custom armor stands, which is really nice. But then if we come in here, we have a nice little storage area under the staircase, and this is a nice little area where you can store some tools and extra materials. And then back here, I still need to add some iron piles and coal piles just to kind of show that he has excess reserves for his forgery. And then I also added a custom spruce tree right here, like the other ones back over there by Lake Axolotl. But then if we come up here, as you can see from up here, we have a nice copper and warped wood roof, which I think looks really good and adds a pop of color that I think this build really needed. And it kind of fits in with the vibe of the whole place. Like this has some color in the roof, and this one's a little darker, but I think that we need some darker ones and some more colorful ones to kind of contrast each other. But if we come inside, there's no interior, but you'll see that we have quite a big area for an interior. And then we have a ton of storage in here. I wanted to hide it. But then over here, I really like this area. It's a little connection between the actual forgery and the house. So we kind of have a nice little overhang, and this is right above where the blacksmith would forge his stuff. And then we also have a nice little area under here where we can continue the workshop and forgery area. But that's about it for this build. It's just an exterior, but I really like how it looks. And we also have some vines around, you know, some lanterns and some extra stuff around. But other than that, it looks really nice, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. But we can also check out the trees, and I also added another thing to this building. So we have a nice tree here, and it kind of fills in this space right here. I really like how all these trees look. Like they really fill in the space and make it feel more lived in and actually real. I don't know, like without the trees, it looks a little too flat and not filled in, not finished. And then moving over here, I added a nice little crop field with a pergola, and it looks really nice. Got some beetroot, carrots, potatoes, and wheat in here. And I just kind of like how this area filled in. It's really nice, and I think it kind of goes with the vibe of this area because if you come in here, this is where our kitchen is, and you can just imagine, I know this is a fence post right here, but you could just imagine that someone's picking the crops out there, they hand it through the window, and then you cook up a nice meal in here. And I think that fits in really well with this build, and it fills in this space nicely because this is just kind of an empty grass field, but now it looks nice and added a little bit of different scenery. But that's all I added to the area. So next we're going to be building a bakery slash cafe right here in this area, I'm thinking. So it'll be kind of in this area, kind of squarish, I don't know. And we'll have a corner going this way to the axolotl farm with a pathway. And over here, we're going to be building the town center with kind of a circular design. And we'll have a couple buildings that are right next to each other. And I think that will look really nice. So we're going to get into a time lapse of me building this bakery. And the bakery is finished. So let's walk around and see what it looks like completed. So this is kind of the front on view. We added another tree here, a tree in the back over there. And yeah, there's some things I didn't add in the time lapse because I just felt like they wouldn't look good. But yeah, so we have the bakery portion right here. And then this is kind of the baker's house that's connected. So there's actually an interior for the bakery because it's kind of easy to see in, so I wanted to complete the interior. So this is the kitchen back here. We got like the oven where they would bake their stuff. We got some cakes, pumpkin pie, bread, a cookie, and yeah, it's just a really nice interior. And this is kind of like a French bakery, you know? You got the nice glass windows so you can see all the pastries you want to get, and then you can sit inside or you can sit outside, which is kind of hinted at a little more because there's a lot more seating outside. But yeah, this area looks really nice. We got some shelves, some leaves, and it's just a nice, simple little bakery, but I really like how it turned out. And then if we come over here, this is kind of like if you ordered outside, they'll hand it outside to you so you can go sit down over somewhere. But yeah, the front is really nice, and I like how it came out because it kind of just fits into this whole area. It looks like it's tucked into this little corner right here. Now, if we come to the back, we have a nice little gazebo slash pergola thing right here where we have some more seating. You can eat outside. And then the pathway leads back here, and we have a giant tree back here, just kind of like a center area where you can come out here, eat your pastries that you got from the bakery, and, you know, just relax and have a good time. And I think it looks really nice out here with the really large tree kind of overhanging over this whole area. And yeah, it's just a nice little naturey area. And then the chimney you can see is kind of sticking out of the end back here from the oven. And then there's no interior for the baker's house yet, but I'm gonna work on that later. You know, I want to do some interiors later on. But you can see we're gonna go down here, make a staircase over here, and yeah, that's the bottom part of the house. But the main entrance is on this little patio back here. So let's just patch this back up. There we go. Now, if we come back out here, we can see the last side of the house, just some vines on it with a few simple windows and nothing too much. And that's pretty much it. Oh, we have some more seating over here, and you know, that's a little balcony with little covered area on top, but that's about it for this whole area. I really like all the greenery I added, like all these random bushes, and this tree especially right here. I just think it adds so much to the build. Like when you walk through here, it's so cool just knowing that there's like 2 trees covering this area, and it just really feels like finished. This whole area feels finished. Like this section right here, like I don't need to change anything because it's just so perfect. Except for I want some villagers walking around here, but we'll have to add those in at the end because otherwise they'd probably just die right away. Like Michael the miner. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few episodes back, there was a raid and Michael was kind of living in my house and some of the raiders got into my house and Michael unfortunately did not make it. So yeah, I'm kind of waiting to add the villagers because I don't want to have to add them again. But anyways, we're going to get started with the main pavilion, which is going to be really cool, and it's going to be more of a step-by-step process. I'm going to show you guys what I'm going through and what I'm building and why I'm building it this way and what I'm doing with all the details, and I think that will be really fun because this one did off cam, this one we did through time-lapse, and now this one, it's going to be a little more in-depth, a little more detailed, and you can kind of really see the build process of these main pavilion buildings. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to need to do is flatten out the land so we can actually build our building. So let me go do that and I'll be right back. All right, now that we have all the land flattened out, we can actually start building the foundation of our building. So I'm thinking about making it right around here because I want to have a building here, then a little opening, and then I'm going to have another building right here. So we're going to make sure to curve this building because this is going to be a circular kind of pavilion or town center. So we want to make sure to curve it. So we'll probably start it maybe 1 block over actually. So right here. And then we'll just kind of curve it along this way and see where this gets us. All right, so this is looking good. It's got a nice curve to it, and I think it's nice, you know, oblong shape. It's not very uniform, and I don't want it to be uniform, so glad that it's not. And I'm liking how it's coming along. So now let's take this up, and we'll see what we can do from there. All right, now that we have the walls built up, we're going to actually start building the second floor, which shulker box is it in? Here we go. We're going to need some stripped spruce logs to be able to kind of make a framework. And then we're going to use some mushroom stem as kind of like a nice building block. So it should look like that calcite in diorite, but you know, we got the stem block. So I'm going to sleep real quick and we'll get started. We'll start off by placing a temporary block right here. Build up some logs, do the same over here. And we're just going to kind of build up these pillars in a sort of even spacing. That way we can have a nice little framework for the top of this building. The framework is laid out now and it's looking pretty even. So I'm going to go ahead and strip all these logs. That way we get the nice stripped spruce log texture. And we'll get started on the walls of the second floor. So to support the second floor, because it's overhanging a little bit, we're going to use some spruce slabs on the edge of these blocks to give a little more support to the second floor, as otherwise it would kind of look like it's floating off the edge of the building, and we don't want that. And there we go. We got all the spruce slabs lining the outside. Now we'll eventually add a little more detail in there, but right now we're just trying to get the basic layout for this, and I think that does a good job. So now we'll build up the edges with our mushroom stem, and I'll see you guys when I filled in all the walls. All right, so we have the basic concept for the second floor done now, and I'm thinking about using some dark oak on the second floor, which I think would look really nice as we actually haven't used it on any of our roofs over here. So it'll have a nice little contrast, and I think it'll fit in nicely with the build style. All right, so I finished the roof and I'm liking how it's looking right now. I like this little polished deep slate trim that I added because originally I was just going to do dark oak, and I thought, let's add a little more, you know, variation, and I think this really makes it look nice. And then we kind of filled in this area in between the roof, you know, with some spruce and some spruce trapdoors there to give it a little bit of a barrier to kind of, you know, separate it. But I'm liking how it's come out so far. And now we got to get into the little bit of a harder part. We got to get into the finer details. So some things I want to add are little like divots right there that will kind of come down and give it a little more depth. Then I want to texture the bottom of this, and I'm going to add some windows in. So once you guys see me again, this building should be looking pretty sweet and practically 100% complete at that point. Other than that, it'll probably be some like finer details in the front that we'll do later. But when you guys see this again, it'll pretty much be done. All right, now we got some texturing in on the bottom level, a little bit different trim between the first and second floor. And then we also have a nice little spruce trapdoor trim between the roof and the second floor, which kind of adds this nice little barrier because you kind of see that this white is all boxed in with spruce. And it kind of just gives it a nice, I don't know, structural feel. And I really like how it came out. Now what we're going to do is add greenery, and then after that we're going to add the pathway, and this thing will be done. Also, I've decided that I want to make this the tavern of the town, so I'm going to add a nice little patio right here, covered patio like we have over there with the blue, but we're going to make it yellow for this one. So when I come back, we'll have some greenery around here and a nice little covered patio out here. All right, so I finished the tavern, and let's take a quick look at it. So we got a lot of the details in, like we got this out here, got the nice patio cover, we got some foliage, and it's looking really nice. And I'm excited to finish off the whole town center, and I think it'll look really nice. But if we come back here, we have some more greenery, and we have some nice little lanterns hanging from, these are kind of meant to be strings, but I'm using fences. But it still looks really nice, and yeah, it gives it a nice little atmosphere here, and it definitely looks really cool at night. Then anyways, over here, we have some nice plant boxes, and this is kind of like a wine yard or a grape yard or whatever. I don't know what to call it. Like, this is where they get all their grapes and they can turn it into wine for the tavern, so that's pretty cool. And I wanted to, because these blocks on the path are the same as this block palette, I don't want them to connect a lot, because it just looks weird. Like over here, you can kind of see it looks like it just leads right up to the wall. So over here on this patio, I decided to kind of make a different like block palette for the ground. So it's a lot of andesite and a little bit of gravel. And I think that's just enough variation that it kind of separates it from the build and the ground. And yeah, I'm really liking how this came out. Now the interior is not done. We can kind of look in here. Yeah. It's kind of a mess. It's actually a really big mess. We got tons of dirt and scaffolding. I use cobbled deep slate to kind of block out the windows so you can't see inside. But anyways, that's it for the tavern. I really like how this build came out. If you kind of fly over here, you can see that the roof is not in ordinary shape. It's kind of oblong, and I really like that because a lot of these builds are very square and perfect, but you can kind of see that's not perfect, and kind of like that it adds a little variation into the town. And I'm probably going to do that on the other builds as well, kind of make it not exactly square, because this is like an L shape, this is kind of boxy, that's an L shape, that's an L shape. Oh wait, is that an L shape? I don't know, but yeah, they're pretty much all L shapes, and I want to kind of spice it up because I don't want to build the same shape house in every single section. That would look kind of weird. But yeah, I think this looks really nice, and especially on the backside, I didn't think it was going to look too good, but with this grapevine vineyard thing and some nice plant boxes, it looks really nice. And I'm really glad I used the mushroom stem because it looks really good here. Like, I think it looks even better than the diorite and the calcite in that build over there. So yeah, I'm really liking how this turned out. But now let's get into a time lapse of me finishing off the town center and completing this section of the town. and the town center is complete. And I just really like how this actually came out. I can't believe that it actually looks this nice. This is probably the best build I've ever made. But yeah, we got a ton of carts going around here, some chests. I even have this little horse over here tied to a lead, pulling this cart. And it's just really atmospheric, and you kind of feel like you're transported into a medieval village, which is exactly what I wanted to happen. So I'll give you guys a short little tour of the 2 new buildings that we built, or I guess this is 3. But yeah, so this is the hotel. It's kind of in the style that my house in the village is, but instead of spruce, I used dark oak. And I really like how it came out. It looks very regal, and since it's the largest building in the village, I think that fits with it. As well, it's a hotel and it's kind of meant to be fancy. So I really like how it came out. And then we have a grand door here that leads to nothing because it's empty inside, and we're not going to talk about that. Okay. Anyways, over here we have a nice little market stall. And yeah, that's kind of it for the hotel, other than the exterior, which is very detailed and nice looking. But then if we come back over here, I kind of made this alleyway transition into our pathway towards the back of the blacksmith, and I actually added some coal, some iron, some more coal, and like this cart thing, and some raw iron. And I actually got some of these cart designs from Fwip. I'll leave a link in the description to his video that I got it from. And I got some of these from a Reddit post, which I can't remember where I got them from, but hopefully I can try and find it. But if not, yeah, some of these are from a Reddit design, and this is my own design right here. This one is from Reddit, but yeah, otherwise I think these all look super nice, and they just add a little more atmosphere and life to the build, because otherwise it'd be kind of open, and I want it to feel like a crowded and bustling city. But anyways, moving on to this building, this actually has a nice little bridge that connects the 2 buildings together, and I don't know what these buildings are going to be. I think maybe just this might be residential, and this could have like a small store at the bottom. And then this is kind of meant to be like a meat market, and a fish is right in here. This is Jerry the fish. He's a cod. Yeah, this is kind of like a fish market or something. And yeah, I really like how this came out. All right, I had to sleep real quick. But lastly, we have this nice large tree in the center that just kind of, you know, cements this area as the town center, because usually there's some big important structure or statue or tree in the middle, and I think this has that grand feeling and really kind of fits in with the area and makes it feel a lot more enclosed, because otherwise it's just one big open space and it kind of feels too open and too flat. But with this large tree, I think it gives it a nice feel. And then over here, I added another just small little tree leading to Aaron's house over here on this nice detailed pathway. But eventually there'll be a wall around here, so that'll kind of encase this area a little more. But that's it for the town center, and that's all I've done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it was a little longer today, but I think it was well worth it because we got a lot of progress done. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.